We'll get Alana in here in a sec as we talk about what's going on as far as the baseball weekend is concerned. Let's start with the big series out there in San Diego. And yes, Matt Fersgerson, Dodger Stadium. Chavez Ravine was opened up in 1962. But regardless of that, not the 1948 season. Regardless of that, Dodgers and Padres, obviously with a wonderful 4 games again, and that's a great job by San Diego. That was a heck of a win. Yes, see, that's a game that stings the Dodgers because, normally I know they lost Game 4 last year to Tampa, but that was a 1-run game in the bottom of the 9th inning with Jansen, and that was the World Series. It could have cost them the World Series, but that's the worst loss the Dodgers have had in a long time. And I understand that World Series is a different level. I get it, but that's awful. 7-1, 7th inning. I know Jansen, I guess, was unavailable, 4 outs the night before, but that is a terrible loss, and I've said this now for a long time. That Dodger bullpen is very spotty. You think the 98 Yankees lose a game like that with Mariano? That is a very, very, very spotty bullpen. He's got a lot of different options to go to with his bullpen, Dave Roberts does, but none of the options are that great. And they let the Padres get off the deck. That was an important game. The Dodgers need that game for a split, and that game's going to sting. I mean, very few games for the Dodgers do sting because they're that good and they're that powerful. And in a regular season they've been dominant for the last, whatever it might be, 8-9 years. They've had incredible runs, and they've won that division by 100 games every year, but not this time. That was a very, very poor loss. 7-1, top of the 7th inning, you got to win the game. And I know that they made a mistake in the 10th. He swung at 3-2, obviously over his head, which would have ended it with the bases loaded. I get that. But still, the Dodgers cannot, under any circumstances, lose that one to San Diego. It means a lot to San Diego, too. They won 4 out of the 7 against the Dodgers, which is, I'll tell you, phenomenal. And they lost the first 2, so they won 4 out of the last 5, which is even sweeter. Tatis was superb. Home runs all over the place. We all know about the home runs in the last 2.5, 3 days. Stolen bases, great job by Tatis. Machado gets a big hit. I mean, the Padres, who have been very sporadic to start the year, they have not been great. They've been up and down, and this is going to be a little interesting here against Arizona. This time off, a day off. Last week against Milwaukee at home, following that good win Sunday against the Dodgers, they did not get a day off. This time they do, which might help them settle down, get grounded, and regroup some. But, that was a good sign. That was a very important win. The Padres really showed you a lot of gumption, a lot of stick-to-itiveness. Much impressed. Down by that many after the Taylor 3-run homer to come back and win that game is very, very impressive. I like to see Joe Musgrove throw a fastball every now and then instead of throwing slider after slider after slider. He's afraid to throw that 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, he able to pitch a no-hitter with that slider against Texas, but against a real good team, I mean, they're not going to swing at sliders in the dirt. And, he ran out of gas after 3 innings, and they're going to need more than that. And Snell never pitches more than 5 innings. He got taken out, of course, after 87 pitches on Saturday. He has to do a better job of being a little bit more using some economy of pitches, and the manager's got to let him have a little longer leash, but you'd like to have a little better scenario from him. Darvish has been very good. So the Padres still got some holes. I don't love the depth of their starting rotation. Outside of Melanson, you can get to that bullpen. But I'll tell you something right now. They showed a lot of gumption. It was a very important game for them yesterday. And that game's going to sting. I know the Dodgers like to think that they're above it all. That's a bad loss. 7-1, Sunday Night Baseball, in your ballpark, top of the 7th inning, trying to get a split of that series and win 4 of the first 7, and you fall apart like that? That's a bad loss. I don't care how you. That's a bad loss to the 27 Yankees, much less and the Dodgers are the 27 Yankees. That's a bad loss for them. So that's a bad loss for L.A. We shall see how they regroup. It sounds like Dave Roberts wasn't too pleased also from that standpoint. They only play one more series now, these two teams, throughout the summer. They play late in August, and then the 2 series in Dodger Stadium in September. San Diego goes to Dodger Stadium twice in September. Twice. They don't go again into that first weekend. Then the last games of the year are at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers will go to San Diego in late June for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night 3-game series. And then the Dodgers will go back to San Diego in middle of August, late August, to play there. So the next 2 series here are in San Diego. Then the last 2 are at Dodger Stadium. The Padres, 13-11, needed that in the worst way. Dodgers haven't played that well in the last week. Let's not go too crazy. Now they get the Reds in, who can't get out of their own way right now. we'll see how the Dodgers handle that. Elsewhere, as far as the weekend is concerned, how about DeGrom? What a performance there against the Nationals. And I understand the Nationals are compromised right now. Their lineup, no Soto, but boy, oh boy, unhittable. Good job by Rojas, letting him go all the way. A 2-hit, 15-strikeout gem on Friday night. As good a performance as you can have, and he has just been out of this world, striking people out left and right. 15 the other day, 14 the week before against Colorado, and the extra day off. Did a great job there. And I've said this, and I'll say it again. Now, listen, I'm not ready to say he's Tom Seaver yet. I know Gary Cohen was a little, I thought, a little over the top. I know he's been great. But Tom Seaver was great for the Mets for a 10-year period. DeGrom hasn't done this for 10 years. But listen, nobody's going to argue with his greatness right now. He's as good as he gets. He's got a couple of Cy Youngs, the whole bit. The thing about the Mets that will be interesting is to see where they are here come October. If they're in the playoffs come October and he's rested and raring to go and they can set it up properly where they don't have to win games in the last weekend of the year so he can go twice, they can beat anybody, and even the Dodgers, because there's nobody better than him. So from that standpoint, if you look at it, when they get to a 5-game series and he can go game 1 and 5, even LA with Buehler and Bauer and Kershaw, he's better than anybody they have. And so from that standpoint, they can win 2 games, 1-0, squeeze out another one. He'd be a real wild card come postseason play if the Mets are so fortunate to get there. And the Mets pitching is going to get a lot better. Right now, they've got a 2.57 team ERA, and it's going to get better because Carrasco eventually is going to return, and obviously he's still sitting there with Syndergaard, which is going to slot everybody down. Stroman's not going to have to be the 2. He can be a 3 or a 4. Carrasco can move to the 2. Syndergaard can be a 3. Stroman a 4, Walker the 5. That's a heck of a pitching staff from a Met perspective, and I got DeGrom there to lead the way. They're dangerous. Now, they have some holes. They're bad defensively. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. And they haven't run away and hid with a very easy schedule the first 15 games despite all the bad weather. But listen, be careful as far as the Mets are concerned. And I'll tell you, be careful if you're the American League Central Minnesota Twins on the White Sox. I know Kansas City's played very well right now, but they've had a pretty easy schedule. I'm not going to go crazy on the Royals, but the White Sox, listen, we know they're pretty good anyway, and Kopech now is in that rotation. He had a great start on yesterday afternoon. 5 innings. He's got big-time stuff. They have pretty good starting pitching. They're going to score runs. That division is terrible. Excellent job by the White Sox. 12-9, good manager. They had a tough start to their season with losing 3 out of 4 in Anaheim. They also had to go to the East Coast, so they've had to go west and east in the first 21 games of the season. And Texas is no great shake, so beating them over the weekend is no big deal. But I like this kid. He's got a chance to be very, very good. Obviously, he has not been a factor for 2 years. He throws 100 miles an hour. He's got great stuff. He's another guy that you keep an eye on. And be careful on the White Sox. Twins can't get out of their own way right now. I don't think Kansas City is going to be in it for 162 games. Good year. They're much better, but I don't know about 162. White Sox got a chance to run away and hide in the American League Central. I wouldn't say that about the West because I still have confidence in Houston with the A's having that 13-game winning streak, but I'm not sure about my confidence level for Minnesota in that division with the way they have played and how well. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Pirates at home, that's a problem. And the way, of course, that the White Sox look like they're getting their stuff together. So White Sox with Kopech, very, very important. DeGrom has been superb, dicey come postseason, being an opponent of the Mets, and, of course, Dodgers, Padres all weekend long out there at Chavez Ravine.